Hi, I'm Dan but No Bacon from Chumbawumba, and I'm in the hang if you want to come out and hang with me.
I get knocked out, back it up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked out, back it up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
The literal thing is somebody standing up on a soapbox and being an orator, telling people, you know, their views on the world. So there's like a tradition in English history of people doing that. You know, people still do it in London at Hyde Park Corner. You know, people said to us before, this is going to be a really big hit, and we just thought, well, we'll believe it when we see it. But they were right, as it turned out, and people, I think, we noticed it with the record company. They treat us differently to have been treated before, but that's probably because we're having so much success. I think if people buy the album, they realise there's a lot more going on than one hit or whatever. So we don't really think about it, you know. I mean, people will have that impression, whatever, but there's other people who won't. You know, everybody gets the same share of the money, if there is any money. Everybody gets to have their say, you know, and if, with a lot of bands, you know, it's like one or two people who control the royalties or who control the decision making, and that, I think, is a recipe for disaster if you're suddenly thrust into the worldwide arena of success or whatever you want to call it. We've done whole tours before for things and raised like £300 or £400, you know, after all the travelling and everything. So to have the power suddenly to do that and to draw so much media attention, because we did it in London, to their cause, you know, they've been on strike 2 years and the story is almost buried, it is an amazing thing, and I'm sure we'll always want to continue doing things in that vein. Compared to like most band web pages, which are just like set up by record companies, and there's like a few photos of the band and this is the next record, and people go to them and they'll never go back to them. And we just think this is a fantastic way of communicating with people all over the world, and we want to try and make the most of it, and we want to link to other people who we think are inspiring.
You know, it's like drinking song, a song about you know, rising up when things have gone bad. The fact, you know, I mean, even the way the chords work, it's like it's very sort of minor chord down and suddenly going to big major chord up. It's like it's sort of really obvious in a way the way it's constructed, but it wasn't like cynically done like that. A lot of the British music press, not the magazines, the sort of newspapers, which are really they sort of dictate a lot of the musical trends in Britain. They're really ruthless about keeping things turning over. They want a new brand of toothpaste every week because then it keeps the papers selling and all that sort of thing. So they don't want this hoary old brand of toothpaste that's been going 15 years or whatever. So now it's great because they're like suddenly coming back to us and like, oh, you know, we'd really like to do an interview, and oh, can you tell us what your top 10 of the year was, and oh, can you do this and can you do that, and we're like just smiling, just thinking, yeah, wankers. The record company, I think it's really important, that whole One Hit Wonder thing. They're obsessed by it. It's like they're scared stiff that you know, the next single isn't going to sell very well, and so they're like desperate to make sure it does, and they like tell us this, and we're like, well, we don't care. We're not actually bothered if you don't put any more singles out ever again. We don't mind. The whole point of it is that yeah, you know, there has to be destruction in order to actually build something new. But it's really just a way of saying, I can have a relationship, people can have social relationships with other people without one of them telling the other one what to do. Well, yeah, just because Bono talks about, you know, Sarajevo, does that mean therefore it justifies their existence as, you know, this rock band who have 22 million quid in the bank or whatever? I don't think it does, because I think that if you can look at people like, you know, Chuck D out of Public Enemy and think, right, he did this thing which was this band, he obviously made a lot of money out of it, but then he's thought, right, get my own news programme and try and disseminate information, and I'll write a book which sort of talks about, you know, the whole thing to do with racism and black struggle and black culture and all that sort of thing. People that do that, I don't start thinking, oh, you're rich, therefore it's not justified. We didn't want loads of things like sort of zooming round and all that sort of thing. We just thought, no, let's make it really text-based, quite sort of plain, but with lots of reference points to things, and try and cover a lot of things that are happening in the world and all that sort of thing. But still try and have, you know, a sense of humour and you know, a bit of information and all that sort of thing.